Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection, and access to daily news digests from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, as well as guided meditation programs. Between a full-time job in IT and a full-time job in podcasting, it gets harder and harder to sit down and read the books I'm interested in. This is where Audible comes in. I can listen on my daily commute, relaxing, or while out running errands and still get in the books I've been wanting to get into. You can download titles and listen offline anytime, anywhere. The app is free and can be installed on all smartphones and tablets. Now you can try Audible risk-free with a special 30-day free trial by visiting audibletrial.com/Nerdery and Murdery. That's audibletrial.com/Nerdery and Murdery. Don't let your busy life get in the way of that great book you've been wanting to read. Go get your free trial of Audible today. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. This is Geoffrey, and we've talked about many times before that I experience problems and struggles with my mental health, and really without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy does work. It's helped for me, but what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, or you're not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's really time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles, and it's time to start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is a customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And there's a special offer to Nerdery and Murdery listeners. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/Nerdery and Murdery. That's betterhelp.com/Nerdery and Murdery. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
The hue and cry was heard, and now they're coming back.
No idea what the fuck you're talking about. Welcome to episode 192 of Nerdery and Murdery.
Big 192. I'm Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows and the ups and downs, the good and the bad and the nerd and the murd. So as you know, I'm addicted to golf.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get new clubs yesterday.
Okay.
Not a full set, but I'm a tailor-made whore. Tailor-made if you want to sponsor us. And I told them at the fitting yesterday too. I said, hey, I got a podcast, you want to sponsor it? But I had a fitting yesterday, and I just wanted to see the new offering because I just got new fairway woods last year, and I didn't need to upgrade those, but I did want to get a 60-degree and possibly a new putter. But I chose those.
Did it look like a hockey stick?
Your
putter?
No.
Well, you didn't get a Happy Gilmore putter.
Looks like a spaceship. Google TaylorMade Spider Tour. You'll see it looks like a little spaceship. But yeah, Chelsea came walking up towards the end of my fitting, and I just went, "I love you." She said, "What did you just buy?" So I had to get you looking at it.
Yes.
Looks like a little spaceship.
It does look like a spaceship.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm a tailor-made whore. My putter was the only thing in my bag that's not tailor made. It was actually a one that was built by a shop down here to kind of mock tailor made, but I wanted a very specific one, so I got that yesterday. Um, but anyway, so after that, I went up to the clubhouse. I had tea time in like 30 minutes after that. I went up to the clubhouse, and one of the guys up there, he throws a huge Super Bowl party, and I do mean huge Super Bowl party. He
Hmm.
has squares that he sells, Super Bowl squares,
Hmm.
for $1,000 a square.
Good
I'm
God.
like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be buying any of that.
No.
There's people there. They'll have multiple people
Hmm.
go in for it and whatnot. Um, but anyway, there's all this food and everything like that. But he asked me to be a judge in the barbecue contest. There's going to be ribs and pork butt and brisket and sausages and everything. I get to be a judge.
Nice.
I'm excited for that. I was not excited for the Super Bowl. I'm tired of seeing Kansas City. I'm tired of Kansas City as a whole. Um, and I hate the Eagles. So, but yeah, I'll get to. I'm going to go just because I want to judge the barbecue. That'll be cool. I think I'm going to have to take Monday
Uh,
off.
yeah. Get over the meat sweats. We probably ought to do a nerdery about barbecuing at some point.
Sure, why not?
It's definitely there's a weird. Well, I say weird. I don't want to nerd shame anybody, but there's this fan base that's just they're rabid about it.
Well, so our listener Paul that we've talked about on the show before. He and I were talking on the phone because I've known Paul for years. I've known Paul since I was a teenager. We
Yeah,
were
I've got a buddy Steve who goes to competitions.
Yeah.
Who I've known since I was a
Well,
teenager.
but he and I were on the phone talking about something, and we started talking about nerdery subjects, or the subject of nerdery, being
Hmm.
able to nerd out. And he said it very, very specifically that, we've said very similar before. You can nerd out about anything.
Yeah,
Anything could be a nerdery subject. It's not limited to movies, TV, role-playing games, board games. Um, it can be anything. I've nerded out for years about fantasy football. There's a lot of people that nerd out about football. I nerd out about golf. I'm severely addicted to golf. I'm not afraid to admit it. Um, one of the reasons I'm not ashamed to get newer clubs, because I talked to Chelsea about that too. She's like, oh, I don't want to, because she got a new driver yesterday. I don't know if I want to get this, blah blah blah. And I said, we golf every day. It's
hmm
not like we're a once a month or a couple times a year. If we're going to play this every day, why not get quality equipment? Something that's going to last and something that's good. Um,
yeah, especially if it's something you're going to have for a decade or more.
oh yeah, you
It's
absolutely
it's
could.
like shoes. Yes, I can buy a $50 pair of boots and they'll work just fine. But if I buy the 120 pair Solivars or English made docks, Solivar is the company that is the factory that used to make docks.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, yes, it's going to cost me $120, but I will have them for 20 years.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I had one of the salesmen that came out to the club say that you should be buying new wedges about every 3 months, and I said, you can go fuck yourself.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not going to be buying wedges every 3 months. But yeah, I mean the clubs can last for years, but it's if you buy quality,
Yeah,
quality.
you got to buy good stuff.
Yeah. And so I don't mind on that. But anyway, you can nerd out on anything. Anything can be a nerdery subject. Um, because that's the whole premise of the nerdery side of the house. It's things that you geek out about, things that you
Hmm.
nerd out about, things that or you can. And Zig's whole goal with that is just to expose you to different things out there that people nerd about that you may
It's
not
it's
know.
it's the breadth of the nerdery, not necessarily the depth.
Yeah.
I do like to get into some of the depth, but yeah, mostly it's about the breadth.
absolutely. So anyway, yeah, we were having a conversation about that. Um, I am I can't remember, did we finish or did we start? I think we just finished season 3 of Evil,
Hmm.
getting into season 4. It's it's almost a little too weird for Chelsea. I like Evil.
Hmm.
I like it a lot,
We
and
just did an episode on evil.
yeah, I know, and that's, I started into it when I knew you were going to cover it. So we've got this last season that we're about to get into, but I have enjoyed it immensely.
It's
Um,
technically it's like 2 seasons because the last 4 episodes are like a mini fifth season. So
okay. Um, but but as we were watching it the other night, um, uh, Chelsea likes to knit while we watch TV.
mhm.
That's just she just keeps her hands busy, but she knits while we watch TV. And she kept complaining because she was wearing her normal everyday glasses that are a little heavier for knitting because you're looking down and everything.
Yeah, you don't want
And
sliding off your face.
no, and she was complaining about that because she forgot her pair of cheaters, and I had my cheaters sitting there, but I was using them. Um, and I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to her, but she kept complaining about it, and I said, look, I've got an additional pair of cheaters in my office. I'll just get up and go get them. She says, no, 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 I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do that. I'm like, I just got to go around the corner and grab them. No, 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 I'll go get mine and blah blah blah. So she kept complaining. And then at one point I looked over at her and she's got her regular glasses on and she had a pair of cheaters in her hand that she doesn't like. They're
Oh, okay.
they're they're not the ones she was talking about because the ones that she uses, that we both use generally, um, I got on Amazon for, I don't know, like $16, and you get 6 of them, and they're
Oh,
blue
nice.
light and they're extremely light. I mean, there's next to nothing to them. Anyway, so she's got her regular glasses on. She's got the other cheaters in her hand, and that's when I finally looked over at her and I went, you know what? I'm going to get you a pair of the cheaters you want. And she said, no, I told you I don't want you to get up. I'll go get them. And I said, no, no, no. I got this. I got this. Hang on. And I put my hands together and I closed my eyes and I just mumbled a few words. And she goes, oh, quit being an asshole. You're just going to go up and you're going to go get the glasses. And I said, no, just hang on. And then I mumbled and then I opened my eyes and I looked over at her and I said, reach up on top of your head. Because she had the cheaters sitting on top of her head.
So she had a fairy and her regular glasses here, and the cheaters were up here. Reach on top of your head.
I told her that was going on the show too.
Hi,
Oh,
Chelsea.
oh, it's awesome. So funny. The last thing I had, a few episodes ago, I had mentioned that by the time that episode released, I expected that my book was going to be published. Well, we're not there yet. Um, it's it's fully written. But it's fully written and gone through the second edits that I've done. I am still waiting. I have multiple people who are reviewing it, so I have an outsider's perspective and send me notes back so I can do third edits. So it is still waiting to be published. It will be published this year if it kills me. Um, but I'm waiting because, as I talked about with the story, I have everything in my head and it all makes sense to me. But, Chelsea's been one of the ones that's read it and is reading it. And she's like, oh, this didn't make sense to me. I don't understand how we got here. I don't understand this. And so that's all because the story is in my head and I see how everything is supposed to go. So I'm waiting on outside people to at least go through the edit. So keep waiting. It's coming. I promise it's coming. But I wanted to give an update on that.
Nice.
All right, Zig, you got anything? Are you ready to take us over to the nerdery side of the house?
I'm ready to nerd out about this.
All right, take off.
As we spoke about just a few minutes ago, about how we talk about the breadth of nerdery. This is part of that. We're going to talk about video rental stores, which are coming back.
I've
There
seen
are
a
new
few.
ones. opening up. Yeah.
Why? Why though? Why?
Because people like physical media.
Hmm.
And the video rental store
Hmm.
is great. You don't have to spare any space for it. You can watch it, and if you really like it, they'll just sell it to you.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, and streaming doesn't have everything.
That's very true.
A video rental shop or store is a physical retail business that rents home videos such as movies, pre-recorded TV shows, video game discs, and other media content. Typically, a rental shop conducts business with customers under conditions and terms agreed upon in a rental agreement or contract, which may be implied, explicit, or written. Many video rental stores also sell previously viewed movies and or new unopened movies. In the 1980s, video rental stores rented VHS and Betamax tapes of movies, although most stores dropped Betamax tapes when VHS won the format wars. We've talked about Betamax before. That was kind of late in the decade of the 80s. In the 2000s, video rental stores began renting DVDs, a digital format with higher resolution than VHS. And in the late 2000s, stores began selling and renting Blu-ray discs, a format that supported high definition resolution. Video rental stores have experienced a significant decline in the 21st century. Increased accessibility of electronic medias in library circulation and widespread adoption of video on demand and video streaming services such as Netflix in 2010s sharply reduced the revenues of most major rental chains, leading to the closure of most locations.
And by the way, that Netflix was founded because the founder had a late fee for a Tom Hanks movie. I knew it just a few weeks ago. But anyway, he had a late fee and
Was it
didn't.
Joe versus the volcano?
No, 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 no. I'll look it up while you're talking. But that's why Netflix was founded, was because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, why don't we just do them by mail? And that way, when can keep them as long as they want. And when they're done, they just mail them back to us and we'll send them another one. It made sense. Due to the precipitous drop in demand, few rental shops have survived into the present day. As of 2022, the small number of remaining stores tend to cater to film buffs seeking classics and historic films, art films, independent films, foreign language films, and cult films that are less available on streaming. According to Dan,
it was a $40 late fee for Apollo 13.
According to Daniel Herbert, a film professor at the University of Michigan, video rental stores helped cement a local movie culture and contributed to the social fabric of a community in small but meaningful ways, in that customers sought advice from staff on what film to rent or chatted with other customers about what to watch and why. Film critic Colin Souter states that video stores gave film lovers a place to congregate and make discoveries by browsing the racks of film shelves, with the store providing a film school, a social gathering place of cinematic discovery, date nights, and rites of passage. He underscores the impact that video rental stores had by noting that when film director Quentin Tarantino, a former video rental store employee, learned that video archives in Hermosa Beach, California, the store that he worked at, was closing, he bought the entire inventory and recreated the store in his basement. As for him, the place was a lifesaver. A 2018 article about video stores states that they are appealing because people crave being together to pick entertainment and the chance to chat with a staff member who can be relied upon for reviewing and recommendations and who truly love what they do, while at the same time being a part of the community of like-minded individuals. One argument for video stores is the element of investment. If you're taking time to walk into a physical place, grab something and take it home, you'll be at least a little bit invested, as well as in the allure of browsing the physical copies of the shelves and appealing like into the resurgence of interest in vinyl records in the 2020s. So, kids, if you don't have one in your area, and you may soon, what it is in the 70s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. So when people had television at home, you'd either go to the movies to see a movie, and when that run was over, you didn't get to see it again unless the theater decided to bring it back for like a special double feature or something. Grindhouses would show older films. Again, grindhouses in the Northwest. Down here in the South, we had drive-ins. So they would do the same thing. So if like I remember the last year of the Cherry Lane Drive-In, a new Police Academy movie came out. right? I think it was like three,
Mhm.
so the two or three. They showed one, two, and three that night, and it was amazing. But so what the video rental store would do? Oh, I'm sorry. I need to go back. And again, with television, you got to see the episode. You got to see it the night it was on. Um, if you didn't record it, you may get it again in reruns, but usually you don't. Which is why a lot of the shows from that period on are they can be shown out of sequence. Um, but with the video rental store, you could actually go and get a video that's professionally produced, not recorded at your house with commercials in it, and take it home and watch it over and over again, which is where that whole film buff thing goes into. Libraries still have lending libraries of videos as well. Um, but they're more curated for educational things. Generally, there is entertainment, but mostly it's educational stuff. Whereas video rental stores had everything. Um, you could go in, you could browse, you could talk to the person. Hey, I really like, these weird movies is the way I used to describe them. And with Take It Home, which was our little local chain around here, um, I could go, hey, I want to, I was all into science fiction, but I was also into these weird little. I found out they were called either cult movies or art house films or whatever. They had a whole wall of them as well as foreign films. And I started at the top. Every time we would go in, I would grab one and then work my way down. And I watched all of them. It it was amazing. And we had a small one that was a little closer to us that I would go to, and I'd see like a science fiction or horror film that maybe was out at Take It Home. So I'd go there and grab it and take it home and view it and just be mesmerized. Because again, I love film. I love the acting. I love the writing. I love the lighting. I love the production. Um, and these things were just eye opening. And you could be a cinephile in Fort Worth, Texas, or Terre Haute, Indiana, and not have to have a local art house cinema near you. You could do it at your house. Was it as nice as seeing it on the big screen? No, but at least you could consume it. And back then, that was difficult. Some of these things, and if it was something you were really interested in, they had these magazines at the front for cinemaphiles. And you could flip through these magazines and see upcoming films and stuff, and you could tell the person, "I want to see this." They would order it, and you could go and rent it or even buy it from them. Generally, buying from the video stores was expensive because they were showing it as a rental. The cost for them to buy the film was way more than you could buy it. So generally, what would happen is they would use it as a rental for a long time, and then when they didn't need as many copies, they would sell the extra copies to the public, and you could get some really great deals that way. Um, Video rental stores like Toronto-based Saint Video have a large selection and a streaming platform's movie list. The owner of Bay Saint Video states that they have movies that go back to the beginning of filmmaking, from the first silent films ever made to stuff that was just in theaters and everything in between. We have the history of cinema. He calls the store selection of films library-esque, almost like an archive or a museum. Benjamin Owners, the owner of Film is Truth, a nonprofit video rental outlet, points out that video stores may carry a larger selection of films than streaming platforms. He notes that while the largest streaming provider, Netflix, has only 6,000 titles, Film is Truth has over 20,000. An additional benefit that video stores provide to communities is they give access to films to people with poor access to internet and those who are not comfortable with adapting to online consumption. In 2010, Daniel Hanna, the owner of Toronto's Eyesore Cinema, an independent video shop, launched International Independent Video Store Day, which is held on the third Saturday of every October to promote awareness of video rental stores and their unique contributions to film culture. It generally coincides with Halloween, so generally the films they generally take are horror films because there's a lot of crossover with the horror film community owning physical media and video rental stores because that's how a lot of people discovered that stuff. Um, Film professor Daniel Herbert says the demise of the video store may affect independent film production. He states that the studio has lost a major channel for low budget feature length indie movies with the large video store chains collapsing. I would disagree with that. The large video store chains usually didn't carry a lot of independent films unless they were uh, lauded, which is one of the things that I disliked about Blockbuster, which is why I would not get a Blockbuster membership until not too long before they closed because I had Hollywood Video, which I loved, plus all the little local shops in my hometown, which came and went. Um, yeah. Streaming services are less likely to produce this format as they prefer binge watching oriented. Richard Brody argues that between 1985 and 1995, there was a generation of filmmakers that included Tarantino and Steven Soderbergh, whose first films, Reservoir Dogs and Sex, Lies, and Videotape, respectively, were financed by the home video market. Brody argues that the aspiring filmmakers' video stores they worked at became launching pads for true outsiders and provided counter programming to film school training by showing an anti-academic value of disorder, spontaneity, and enthusiasm. Friday Night at the Video Store is a National Film Board documentary directed by Cedric Chabal and Alexander Vial that aims to record and preserve a vestige of the brief existence of 5 video store owners who cling to their dreams of keeping the video retail industry alive. The world's oldest business renting out copies of movies for private use was a film reel rental shop opened by Eric Baum in Kessel, Germany in the summer of 1975. Baum collected movies on Super 8 films as a hobby and lent pieces of his collection to friends and acquaintances. Because they showed great interest in his films, he came up with the idea of renting out films as a sideline. Over the years, videotape and optical discs were added to the range. Baum still operates the business as of April of 2023 and was portrayed in the June 2006 documentary film Ike's Welt by Olaf Salmer. The first professionally managed video rental store in the U.S., Video Station, was opened by George Atkinson in December of 1977 at 12011 Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. After 20th Century Fox had signed an agreement with Magnetic Video founder Andre Blay to license 50 of their titles for sale directly to consumers, amongst them Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, MASH, Hello Dolly, Patton, The French Connection, The King and I, and The Sound of Music. Atkinson bought all of the titles in both VHS and beta formats and offered them for rent. Such stores led to the creation of video rental chains such as West Coast Video, Blockbuster Video, and Rogers Video in the 1980s. Yeah, again, I was not a fan of Blockbuster. I hear that the one in Bend, Oregon is actually finally closing down.
I think it closed.
Yeah, it was ostensibly not really a Blockbuster anymore. It went back to being a mom and pop because they started out as a mom and pop shop. And then they I can't remember if they got bought out or started a small local chain, and then that small local chain got bought out by Blockbuster. Even though they still had a Blockbuster sign, they were basically still a mom and pop shop. But they made a film about it, and because everybody was freaking out over it, it's the last video store in the United States. No, new video stores are actually opening up.
Yeah, there was it was called Family Video.
Yeah, Family Video in the South was huge.
Yeah, well, I remember there was a Family Video next door to a Papa Murphy's in what the hell is the name of that city? As I would go north home from work up into Denton, one of those cities, not Forest Park, up near Alliance Airport.
Oh,
but south of Alliance Airport.
Blue Mound.
wasn't Blue
Diamond Hill
Mound.
Jarvis.
No, no, it definitely wasn't Diamond Hill Jarvis. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, there was a family video right next to a Papa Murphy's. So I mean, because
Hmm.
when I would stop and grab pizza on the way home for $10 pizza day, I love
Hmm.
Papa Murphy's. I miss having closest Papa Murphy's to me is Corpus Christi, so can't
Oh
get
yeah,
it down.
that's a
Can't
drive.
really get
Yeah.
it down here. But yeah, there was a family video that was. I mean, they always had business, and this is
Hmm.
this is over the last few years,
Hmm.
it was still there. Um, but yeah, Take It Home video went out a long time ago. Blockbuster, of course. But it's interesting. For me, I don't understand the need for rental stores because, like I said, streaming. Sure, you can't get everything streaming, but the video stores also can't carry everything. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a six of one, half dozen of the other kind of thing.
Yeah, but with streaming, you can't ask them to get something specific. You go to a video rental store, they will order something specifically for you that you could come in and rent.
Sometimes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, especially the smaller mom and pop shops.
I
Also,
I can get
the
almost everything streaming.
yeah.
Sometimes I have to buy it. It's maybe not
Hmm.
free, and I have to purchase it, but it's out there.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, so say the problem I see upcoming with streaming is the same problem that Blockbuster runs into or ran into.
Ran into.
Once they got rid of just about everybody else, um, when the winds of society changed, they couldn't scale down, whereas the small mom and pops could scale down.
Hmm.
Um, I have a fear that at least one of the major streaming sites is going to run into that problem. Like,
Fine. I guess I'm not understanding that one.
okay, so Blockbuster had massive investments in
Right?
in stock
Hmm.
and manpower and real estate and they when they bought Sound Warehouse, record stores and
Hmm.
all of this other stuff. So when people stopped, well, not say stopped, when not everybody went in to Blockbuster Video, when it shrank, they weren't able to shrink with it.
And I just don't see that streaming's going to shrink because streaming has only gotten bigger, especially now that the streaming services are all doing this original programming. They're not just showing you stuff that's been in the movies or in the theaters or stuff that's on
I
TV. Now
I,
you've
I
got all
understand
this
that,
original programming.
but they're actually they're taking people are taking Hulu is taking away market share from, and I
Hmm.
could be wrong with the thing, from Netflix, and
Hmm.
Tubi is taking away market share from Netflix, and
Hmm.
Paramount's taking. Eventually, it will get to the point where Netflix can't stay open, and when they close, all of the rights and stuff that they have to the stuff that they have
Hmm.
goes with them until it can be until those contracts expire. So say they've got a right to show Friends.
Hmm.
They don't, but say they have a right to show Friends for 10 years, right?
Hmm.
If they close next year, there's 9 years before anybody can see it.
Right.
You
Friends
see
is
what I'm saying?
the rights to Friends is currently owned by Max. Just FYI.
Yeah.
It used to be on Netflix, but Max got the rights to that.
Yeah. Okay. So
I just I don't
the
know.
rights to streaming, but they don't have the rights to the physical media.
Correct. They have to get into contracts with them because I believe you hit it on the nail head with Friends. I think Max has a 10-year contract with Friends. I think it's also Max that got the 10-year rights to Big Bang Theory. Um, but I don't know. Some of them are adapting because Max has gone from a just a cable only service to its embrace the streaming, and you've got powerhouses like Max, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu. You've got these and I guess Apple TV too. You've got these powerhouses and everybody streams.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yes, they take away from each other in certain things, but they all have their, I don't know, they all have their niches and they all have their offerings. I think you'll just see things go back and forth because let's say 10 years when Big Bang Theory is up for renewal, does Max have the power to keep it, or does another streaming service go and get it? Because that's a money grabber.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so
All right.
I don't know.
Here's the other point.
Hmm.
Why again, I use streaming a lot, as you well
Right.
know. Another reason why physical media is a little bit better. If anything comes out as being too nichey or possibly too controversial, like the original I Spit on Your Grave.
Hmm.
Um, I Spit on Your Grave is a rape revenge film,
Right.
where the protagonist kills all of her attackers, which
Right.
is awesome. However, the opening of that film is very controversial because it
Sure.
shows what happens.
Right.
No one is streaming that. They've got a remake of it from
Hmm.
2009 that's showing,
Hmm.
but you can't.
Which I've heard is not near
No, it's not
as
nearly as good.
graphic.
No, it's not nearly as good. Um, but the original I Spit on Your Grave, you can't stream, but I can buy it on physical media, or I can rent it on physical media, assuming I've got a rental store. And there is one. They live in the guts of an old Blockbuster. Or they gutted out an old Blockbuster. It's oh my God. There's a video game and video sales store in the Hewlin area, um, that you can rent from, assuming you put up a credit card and everything else. They will rent from they will rent you films. So it still exists as a video rental store. It's mostly for purchasing.
The
They have
78,
it.
the 78 I Spit on Your Grave shows to be on Tubi, Roku, Plex, Pluto, and Redbox.
It's heavily edited.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, Redbox. Does Redbox have a streaming service? I thought they were still doing physical media.
It says, here's the original director's cut uh, on Amazon. You can stream it on Prime. The original director's cut.
Okay. Well, let's take that specific out. There are lots of films that they won't show
Sure.
because there's no demand or anything like that. Well, there's not enough demand because
Matter of fact,
again,
here's
they're too big to cater to small markets.
here's one. Let me look this one up because I bet you this one is not streaming it, and I'm wrong. I was going to say, no way does anybody have Faces
Yeah,
of Death streaming. Roku has it. YouTube
yeah,
TV has it. Amazon
yes.
Prime has it.
Yeah, well, most of Faces of Death is a real anyway.
Oh, I know. Most is fake, but it's
That was
very
that
graphic. It's
that
very
was the
graphic.
dark film that we all watched as children.
Yes. Faces of Death 1 through 3,
Yes.
narrated by Dr. Francis B. Groves.
Francis B.
Um,
Gross.
yes. Yeah, I mean most of that's fake. Which was funny because the Faces of Death, you could rent that from Take It Home Video, but it was in the or the adult section.
Yes.
They only had those tapes in the adult section of the store that
Yes.
was behind a curtain or
A
something,
beaded curtain.
or beaded curtain or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so they also had adult films in those mom and pop video shops, which Blockbuster did not have.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about how it kind of came about. Sony released its first commercially available video recorders in the United States on June 7th, 1975. And the following year, on October 25th, 1976, Universal and Disney filed a lawsuit against Sony in the case known as Sony Corp of America versus Universal Studios, Inc. The two studios tried to ban the sale of VCRs and later the rental of movies, which would have destroyed the video rental business in the U.S. Justice Harry Blackmun sided with the studios, while Justice John Paul Stevens ruled in Sony's favor. Eventually, on January 17th, 1984, the Supreme Court overruled the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal after Justice Sandra Day O'Connor changed her mind, leading to a 5-4 ruling. Because we were kind of in a legal gray area. It was after this that the studios actually saw the benefit of the video rental market. Video games started being rented in video shops from 1982. Some of the earliest game cartridges available for rental included Donkey Kong, Frogger, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. However, not many stores made them available for rental at the time. In Japan, Nintendo Entertainment System games could be rented as early as 1983. However, in response to rental stores making pirated copies of game cartridges, video game companies, as well as the Recording Industry Association of Japan and trade associations lobbied for an amendment to the Japanese Copyright Act that banned the rental of video games in Japan in 1984. Some video game companies intentionally made their games more difficult to prevent them from being beaten during the rental period in the hopes players would purchase games instead of renting them. But by mid-1985, the United States had 15,000 video rental stores, and many record, grocery, and drug stores also rented videotapes as well as video games. Grocery stores in the U.S. rented tapes for as little as 49 cents. The press discounted the VCR and the viewing habits it had engendered. The Saturday night trip down to the tape rental store to pick out a couple of bucks, the movie you want to see when you want to see it. Video rental stores had customers of all ages and were part of a fast-growing business. By 1987, for example, Pennsylvania had 537 stores that primarily rented videotapes with annual spending per residence of $10.50. By 1989, 6 years after its founding, Philadelphia's West Coast Video operated over 700 stores in the U.S., Canada, and the UK. In 1987, home video markets revenues for the year surpassed box office revenues. This is basically when the video stores took notice, or when the studios took notice. In the 1980s, it was common for shops to rent equipment, typically VHS recorders, as well as tapes. Some video shops had adult-only sections containing X-rated videos. Some video stores exclusively sold X-rated suggested films, often along with related sex shop items. To cope with the videotape format wars of the 70s and the 80s, some stores initially stocked both VHS and Betamax cassettes, while others specialized in one format or the other. During the 1980s, most stores eventually phased out their Betamax section and became all VHS, contributing to the eventual demise of Beta as a home video format. Nevertheless, the Beta form factor remained in use as professional video formats in broadcasting and Betacam. But in the late 1990s, DVDs began appearing in video rental stores. This format was smaller than tapes, allowing stores to stock more movies, as well as the thin, lightweight disc could be mailed, which made the mailed DVD service feasible. And in the late 1990s, Netflix offered a per-rental model for each DVD, but introduced a monthly subscription for DVDs concept in September of 1999. The per-rental model was dropped by early 2000s, allowing the company to focus on a business model of flat-fee unlimited rentals, without due dates, late fees, a source of annoyance for brick and mortar store customers, shipping and handling fees, or per title rental fees. So as you said, Netflix was started because he was charged a late fee for returning
13.
a tape. Yeah,
$40. $40 late fee.
Yeah, for a movie he could have bought for $25.
Right.
If he'd just gone out and bought it. Rogers Video was the first chain to provide DVD rentals in Canada. Other chains and independent stores later transitioned to the newer format. Similarly, many video stores rented Blu-ray discs movies after the high-definition optical disc format wars ended in the late 2000s. You had HD, DVD, and Blu-ray won out. Now we have 4K Ultra. So if you get a 4K player, that bad boy will play 4K Ultra, it will play Blu-ray, it will play DVD, and play DVD HD. A lot of them do. Some films rented DVDs from automatic kiosk machines, such as a Redbox. Customers selected a movie from a list using buttons, paid by credit card, and the movie popped out of a slot. While traditional brick-and-mortar video rental stores were closing at a high rate, Redbox moved into existing retail locations such as supermarkets and placed kiosks within them or outside them to gain access to that consumer base. Redbox is going away now. Um, Redbox did surpass Blockbuster in 2007 in the number of U.S. locations, past 100 million rentals. But you say that they put their kiosks in front of every grocery store, in front of every liquor store, every pharmacy, dollar store. So yeah, they're going to have more locations because Blockbuster had to have a big, again, Blockbuster's big problem. They had all this retail space. They were trying to get into the music business and they just basically shot themselves in the foot. They grew too big too fast and they couldn't afford to turn. Which is what I'm afraid of with some of the streaming services. Um, Automated DVD kiosks still require consumers to leave home twice to rent the movies and return it. That is the thing that video on demand allows you to do. But at the same time, it is also a hindrance. That's the third thing about streaming. Yes, it's in my, I'm paying for it, but it's in my house. It's in my house all the time. I can do like binging and whatever. Um, if I go to sit down and watch a movie on Netflix, I put it on. Yeah, I may pause it to go to the bathroom, but it's easy for me to get distracted and not either not finish it or it plays out and I'm not even paying attention to it,
Hmm.
which is fine in some cases. But if I want to sit down and watch a movie, like Kim picked up the director's cut of Eraserhead by David Lynch at a con they were working at. I sat down and just watched the an interview with David Lynch from the early 1980s, which was amazing. And it was like an hour, and I just sat and watched it. It was just creepy because I had to physically put the disc in the player. I had to sit down and watch it, and I'm more invested time wise. Um, but again, that comes at a cost because you do have to go. You have to go to the video store. On January 5th of 2021, Glenview, Illinois-based Family Video announced it was closing all of its remaining video rental stores. The company was the last remaining video rental chain in the United States. Its closing market ended of the large video rental chains. Um, in the 2020s, some video stores facing the loss of their business model have adapted by becoming nonprofit organizations that focus on preserving and archiving of film heritage and educating people about cinema. Operating a nonprofit enables video store to use volunteer personnel and apply for foundation grants, which is how iHeartVideo in um, in Austin works.
Hmm.
It's more of a library. Um, so they're back up and running. They did close for a little while. The impact of video rental stores on popular culture was attested to by filmmakers' use of video stores in its settings, including Be Kind Rewind, Clerks, Speaking Parts, Remote Control, Air Doll, Bleeder, Watching the Detectives, and of course we have talked about the last Blockbuster. But again, there are video stores that are opening back up. Again, it's not Blockbuster. You're not going to get that again. But the smaller chains, mostly doing sales, will do rentals as well. So they are making a comeback because people want physical media. It's just like the vinyl records and CDs and cassette tapes. People want to own those things or people want to hold those things. And that's another thing that say like Netflix can't provide you. You can't get tactile feel off of a streaming service. Again, which is why I'm not as invested in it as I am popping that disc in and then making sure the disc is put back in its box properly because leaving DVDs out drives me insane. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah, the tactile part of it's not a big thing for me. I mean, I have fully embraced the streaming and the electronic media. I mean, I didn't think I would ever go to an e-reader.
Yeah.
I wanted a book in my hands,
Hmm.
but I've embraced that too. I'm lazy. I want to sit on my chair, turn on my TV, and get what I want right there. I don't want to have to get up, pop anything into a machine.
Go to
I
a
mean,
store, get yeah, it's a detraction.
granted, there's some pieces of me that it's hard for me to let go of things. We sold our Blu-ray player after we moved, and I kind of fought that a little bit. I'm like, no, I want to keep my Blu-ray player, and Chelsea says, why? you know, but we sold it, and the only DVDs I have left, because we sold all those too, I have all my Marvel DVDs or
Hmm.
blue DVDs or Blu-ray. All my Star Wars. I will never get rid of those. And all of my concert DVDs.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd, Peter Gabriel, Genesis. I've got all of those, and I'll never get rid of those, even though I don't have anything to play them on anymore. That's just the nostalgia for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's exactly that. And you're not gonna find a lot of that stuff on streaming either.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Those music ones, hardly any of it. I can get, I can get some things on YouTube because like I can get I have Pink Floyd's Pulse on DVD, but I can
Mhm.
get that whole concert on YouTube as well.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just I don't know. I hold on to those more for nostalgia than anything else. The tactile I've really moved away from. I stream everything. I use e-readers. That's just the way I go with it.
It is a beautiful thing to go and browse. And in our YouTube playlist, I have put um I actually found a video from I think the early 2000s of someone actually browsing a video store when they were, big and running, and the
Mhm.
rest of them were about small mom and pop shops around the country. Um and places that people have visited. Like yes, there's not one in Bend, but there is one in Movie Madness still exists in Portland. Um, sorry, I didn't mean to start that.
What start what?
Oh, I had the YouTube playlist pulled up just so I
Oh,
could reference them. And I
I
accidentally
didn't
clicked
I
on one
didn't
and started.
I didn't hear it,
Oh,
so
oh,
you're
that's
fine.
good. Okay. Oh, well, I shouldn't have said anything then.
No,
But
I don't.
yeah,
I didn't
so
hear it. I don't know if that family video is still in North Fort Worth or not. Whatever that little city is
well, I
that's right there.
think it's kind of like that. A lot of those family videos kind of ended up like that one, the Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon. They became mom and pop shops. They still have a family video sign on them.
Well, I'm
They did
stupid. I
close a
have
couple of
Google
years
right
ago.
here. I have Google right here.
I'm trying to remember the name of that video store
Uh, the
in Fort Worth.
Basswood area um, is on Alta Vista. Oh, it says it's closed.
Movie trading company. Yeah,
Yeah, I
there's
remember
a
that one.
movie trading company. They will rent.
Oh, what's that?
There's one called Vintage Stock in Fort Worth that also will rent as well as sell.
What was that really cool place that had videos? It had records. It had um. Oh my gosh, what was the name of that store?
Hastings.
No, I can't think about. I can't remember. Anyway, it was bygones.
But yeah, so kids, if you got like a one of those things around you, go check it out. Just walk around.
Awesome.
Um, you will leave with a membership. You may not rent anything, but you'll leave with a membership.
I don't know about that, but give them a shot. I mean, it is nostalgic to go see that. I enjoyed the times that we went to the Opera House up in Denton, and that's when you can, because they still do have DVDs and VHS
Mhm.
and everything you can get there, vinyl and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting to go visit. But for me, no, I'm going to be streaming. That's just me. So thanks for that trip down memory lane. Appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. Thank you, sir.
With that, we'll step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
For today, I got my information off. Here we go. Brace. People, ABC News, The Guardian, E News, NBC News, The Telegraph, BBC News, The Standard, Routers, and Medium. Got a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
This is a story I have followed for a long time, for many years.
Hmm.
I've had it on my list to cover. It's a very famous case. Uh, Spoilers, it's still unsolved. But this is the disappearance of Madeleine McCann.
The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann.
So on May 3rd, 2007, there was a 3-year-old British girl, Madeleine McCann, who went missing while her family was vacationing in Praia da Luz, Lagos, Portland, Portugal, not Portland.
Okay.
Her parents, Jerry and Kate McCann, were dining with friends nearby as Madeleine and her 2-year-old twin siblings were sleeping in their bedroom. Um, During this, the family all took turns because they left the kids. This was I'll talk about this in a minute. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but this group of adults was later referred to as the Tappas Seven. Um, they all went to a restaurant in the resort they were staying, and every 30 minutes, the parents would go back and check on their kids.
Checking on the kids
They took
because the
rotation.
kids were sleeping.
Yes. Um, Well, as far as the McCanns, after periodically checking in on the kids throughout the night, Madeleine's mother discovered that her daughter was missing at 10 p.m. Authorities were alerted, and this prompted a worldwide search for the toddler. There have been several developments in the case over the years, but what actually happened that night really remains unknown. Um, so her family was staying in a vacation apartment at this resort. They spent the afternoon playing in the pool, and Madeleine was last seen by non-family members around 6 p.m. on May 3rd, 2007. Jerry and Kate tucked their 3 kids into the bed, all in the same room
Mhm.
at around 8:30 p.m. and went to join their friends at the hotel, which was 75 yards from their flat. This was Unit 5A.
Okay, so they were like they could see it.
Yes. Yeah. Um, so the parents left Madeline and her twin siblings asleep in the ground floor apartment as they were with the friends. These were the Tappas Seven. Again, the parents periodically checked the kids every 30 minutes, but at 10 p.m. is when Kate discovered Madeline was missing. The other 2 children, Sean and Amelie, were still asleep in the room. The door to the front bedroom where the children were asleep was open. And she and in the 2011 book, Madeleine, our daughter's disappearance and the county search for her, Kate said that while she was standing there somewhat puzzled, the door slammed shut. And then she noticed a breeze was coming in from an open window. And that's when she realized that while Amelie and Sean were fast asleep, Madeleine was gone. There was a quick, frantic search through the resort grounds, and they reported Madeleine missing at 10:14 p.m.
The
At the
door
time,
slammed shut. Was that because of wind?
probably
Because
because
I
of
know
wind.
sometimes when you get an open window and you got an open door, there'll be a change in pressure and the
Right,
door will slam shut.
right. That's most likely what it was.
Okay.
At the time, Madeline had been wearing Eeyore pajamas from Marks and Spencer and had gone to sleep with her pink blanket and her cuddle cat. 2 officers from the Guardia Nacional Republicana arrived at 11:10 p.m. And more than an hour later, 2 officers from the Policia Judiciaria showed up. I'm probably destroying those words. Um,
Portuguese is not your first language, sir.
right. Reportedly, no roadblocks were put up until 10 a.m. the next day. Tracker dogs weren't enlisted until 11 p.m. the following night, and a global missing persons alert didn't go out for 5 days. Local authorities would also be later criticized for not immediately sealing off the apartment as a possible crime scene, raising the possibility that evidence was destroyed or otherwise contaminated by people going in and out. The following day, Madeleine's parents spoke out publicly about their daughter's disappearance, making an emotional plea for their daughter's safe return. Jerry said, quote, "Words cannot describe the anguish and despair that we are feeling as parents of our beautiful daughter, Madeleine. Please, if you have Madeleine, let her come home to her mommy, daddy, and brother and sister. As everyone can understand how distressing the current situation is, we ask that our privacy is respected to allow us to continue assisting the police in their current investigation." Scuba divers, police on horseback, and volunteers did scour the surrounding land and sea looking for Madeleine. And then the days that were following, border police and airport staff were put on alert as volunteers joined in the search. In the months following, the Portuguese police began their initial inquiry, and although there were several leads, no official suspects were named. Jane Tanner, who had been dining with McCann, claimed to have seen a man carrying a child while she was on her way back from checking her own daughter around 9:15. But she had just seen Jerry, who had just checked on the kids at 9:05, so she didn't think anything of it. The Portuguese police also faced scrutiny in the early months of the investigation, with some calling out their lack of urgency and poor protocol in securing the crime scene. Notably, in June, a Portuguese police chief admitted that vital forensics clues were likely destroyed as the scene was not protected properly. The following month, British detectives aided in the search and dispatched investigators to the apartment to search the apartment with luminol, which, if you don't know, this is a substance that glows when it interacts with blood. When they arrived, though, they found that the apartment that McCann's had stayed at had already been cleaned and rented out again. There were traces of blood that were found on the wall in the bedroom, and DNA testing showed that the blood belonged to an unidentified man. People started.
Yeah, but that may not have. That may have been from another guest.
Absolutely, it could have been. People started, quote, seeing Madeleine everywhere, and bogus tips poured in. There was a man and a woman who were arrested for allegedly trying to extort money from the McCanns in exchange for information about their daughter. And those wouldn't be the only arrests of that kind, unfortunately.
Motherfucker.
I know, right? In August of 2007, after months of searching for Madeleine, police acknowledged publicly for the first time that Madeleine may be dead.
Mm-hmm.
But the following month, there was a new twist in the case. Madeleine's parents were named arguidos, or formal suspects, in Madeleine's disappearance. Police accused the couple of hiding Madeleine's body after she died in an accident while the couple was at dinner. Detectives pressed Kate to confess, telling her she would probably only get a few years in prison if she cooperated. Virgin Group founder Richard Branson donated $130,000 towards the McCann's legal fees while they were still under suspicion, and criticized the Portuguese police for their handling of the case.
We got to blame somebody. Let's blame the parents.
Yeah. In March of 2008, London's Daily Express and Daily Star published apologies for printing dozens of sensationalized, serious defamatory accounts of the case, including some that implicated Jerry and Kate, and were ordered to pay $720,000 in damages to the McCanns and members of the so-called Tappa 7, money which they subsequently donated to the Find Madeleine Fund. Though the investigation delved into potential charges of abduction, homicide, exposure, or abandonment of child, and concealment of corpse, the parents were eventually cleared as suspects in 2007. They spent over a year being suspects in this case.
Uh-huh.
A year after her disappearance, Madeleine's parents gave an impromptu speech at their local church. They said they feared the 1-year anniversary of their daughter's disappearance could be their last opportunity to find her, and asked the congregation to pray like mad for their little girl. I'll say this about that. You'll hear this many, many times, but police say the first 24 to 48 hours are the most important in an abduction case.
Yep.
When the McCann's suspect status was lifted, the Portuguese Attorney General ordered a halt to the investigation. He said, quote, the Attorney General's office has hereby decided to archive the investigation into the case of Madeleine McCann due to lack of any evidence of any crime being committed by the arguidos. And in his statement, Attorney General Fernando Jose Pinto Monteiro noted that the Attorney General's office reserved the right to reopen the investigation or upon request from an interested party should there be a legitimate cause or significant new evidence emerge. So I'd mentioned the book earlier. In May of 2011, Madeleine's parents released a book about their daughter in the case of the disappearance. Kate said in the book description, quote, the decision to publish this book has been very difficult and taken with heavy heart. My reason for writing is simple: to give an account of the truth. Jerry had a statement in there where he called the police force to, quote, re-energize the search for our daughter, and hope that the public would get behind the Find Madeleine campaign once again. He further added, "It is simply not acceptable that the authorities have given up on Madeleine, especially when no comprehensive review of the case has been undertaken. Our daughter and whoever took her are out there. We need your help to find them." In an open letter to the Sun newspaper, the McCanns asked the Prime Minister to launch an independent, transparent, and comprehensive review of all information relating to the disappearance of their daughter. In October of 2013, Portuguese police reopened their inquiry into the disappearance of Madeleine, with Portugal's Attorney General noting that new elements of evidence justified the continuation of the investigation. At the time, Madeleine's parents said they were very pleased by the Portuguese inquiry, saying, quote, "We hope this will finally lead to her being found and to the discovery of whoever is responsible for this crime." British detectives also released descriptions of a man being sought in the inquiry of the disappearance. He was seen in the vicinity of Praia de las Luz resort in Portugal at the time that the 3-year-old went missing. And despite numerous appeals for information over the years, the man has not come forward to talk to investigators in Portugal or Britain. In June of 2020, which was 13 years after Madeleine's disappearance, German authorities identified Christian Bruckner, who was a man in his 40s, as a suspect in the case. German prosecutors said they had concrete evidence Bruckner killed Madeleine. He has denied having anything to do with Madeleine's disappearance and was ultimately not charged due to lack of evidence. He had previously received a 7-year sentence for raping a 72-year-old American woman in 2005 in Portugal, which he was appealing from behind bars for another drug conviction.
Holy crap.
He lived near in the Algarve between 95 and 2007 and burgled hotels and holiday flats. He also falsified passports and was caught stealing diesel from a Portuguese harbor. German authorities also stated they believe Madeleine is dead based on comments made by Bruckner. In April of 2022, Portuguese prosecutors announced there was an official suspect in the case of Madeleine's disappearance, and at the time, authorities did not name the person, but said he was identified as a suspect after they acted on a request made by German and British police. It's unclear if Bruckner was the official suspect or if it was somebody new. In early 2023, an unexpected twist reignited hope. There was an Instagram account titled "I am Madeleine McCann," which made waves. The account belonged to a young Polish woman named Julia Wendell, who claimed she might be Madeleine. Within days, her account attracted hundreds of thousands of followers. Julie Wendell was a 21-year-old from Poland, and she believed her identity might not be what it seemed. She was a few years older than Madeleine would have been, now 19, but Julia suggested that her recorded age could have been manipulated if she were abducted. Her claims centered on physical similarities, including her hair color, eye color, and a rare pupil defect resembling Madeleine's. Julia's upbringing was shrouded in uncertainty. She was born in Stockholm, Sweden, before her family moved to Poland, and Julia alleged that crucial documents from her early years were missing. She claimed she had no birth certificate and that hospital records only began when she was around 5 years old. She said her childhood memories were fragmented, but she recalled during her early years, aside from a vague image of a hot place with white buildings, that she suspected might be that resort in Portugal.
Oh, wow.
She also alleged she had been sexually abused by a man who bore a resemblance to the sketch of a suspect linked to Madeleine's disappearance. She was frustrated by unanswered questions, and so Julia turned to social media in an effort to uncover the truth. Through Instagram, she shared side-by-side comparisons of her childhood photos and images of Madeleine, along with posts suggesting similarities to Madeleine's parents. Some followers expressed support, but the majority remained skeptical. Critics pointed out the differences in appearance, and many questioned the plausibility of her claim. Julia was undeterred, and she expanded her theory, suggesting that if she wasn't Madeleine, she might be Livia Shep, who was a Swiss girl who disappeared with her twin sister in 2011. Julia maintained that she did not belong to her current family. She accused her parents of withholding baby photos and claimed they refused to take a DNA test to confirm their relationship. Julia's parents responded quickly, expressing concern over her mental health and past behaviors. They dismissed her claims as attention-seeking and revealed that Julia had previously aspired to be a singer or model, craving fame. They also asserted that Julia had taken family photos, her birth certificate, and medical records from their home. And despite their firm denial of her allegations, Julia's parents did decline to take the DNA test, which was a decision that only fueled Julia's suspicions. Polish authorities stated they could not compel them to provide samples, which left Julia in a frustrating state of limbo. Her story then caught the attention of Dr. Fia Johannesson, who is a private investigator and psychic medium. Dr. Johansson claimed to have foreseen Madeleine McCann's survival in a 2019 prediction and offered to help Julia. Together, they arranged a DNA test, and while the McCanns agreeing to consider the results if Julia's ancestry suggested a connection. When the results finally arrived, they were conclusive. Julia was 100% Polish with minor traces of Lithuanian and Russian heritage, and she was not Madeleine McCann or Olivia Shep. I'm Dr. Phil at this point. You are not the father. Sorry.
It's Maury Povich.
Maury Povich, sorry. Thank you.
You are not the father.
Julia was devastated, and she insisted her goal had always been to discover her true identity and confront her painful past. She announced plans to seek another DNA test, expressing mistrust in Dr. Johansson's handling of the process. In April 2023, this took a very dark and unexpected turn where Julia accused Dr. Johansson of withholding documents related to her case. In response, Dr. Johansson alleged that Julia's phone contained child pornography, leading to a seizure by California authorities. Huh. Julia denied the accusations, accusing Dr. Johansson of exploiting her for publicity. And the feud between Julia and Dr. Johansson unraveled, and the McCanns found themselves being dragged back into the spotlight. Julia's claims brought them a fleeting moment of hope, but ultimately it just reopened wounds that had never been fully healed. In June of 2024, just last year, authorities discovered a Hotmail account belonging to Christian Bruckner, which they say is directly related to Madeleine's disappearance. Titus Stampa, who is a detective with Germany's Federal Crime Police, told a court authorities found a second email account he used to share photos and videos of child abuse, and that emails from that account were deleted in early 2007 when Madeleine disappeared. Titus testified, quote, things were massively deleted from in the inbox. There was nothing then there from January of 2007. He did say there was an incriminating email possessed by Bruckner from the first email account, but he could not give details as it was related to the killing of Madeleine McCann. He further declined to give details whether the emails included photos or videos. However, in October of 2024, Bruckner was cleared of a string of alleged sex offenses in Portugal between 2000 and 2017 unrelated to Madeleine's case. He faced charges of raping an Irish tour representative, a teenage girl, and an elderly woman in her holiday apartment, and he also faced a child sex charge for allegedly exposing himself to a German girl on a beach in Salema. The clock is ticking towards Bruckner's release. He has not been released yet. And so investigators are faced with the pressure to charge Bruckner in Madeleine's case because they do still consider him a suspect. But despite claims of proof that she is dead, they appear to be no closer to proving that Bruckner is behind the disappearance. And without sufficient evidence, it really doesn't make a difference whether Bruckner is behind bars or not, because I think he is set to go free, September. I think it's September is what they said, September of this year.
Okay.
So, don't know. The McCanns have hoped for all these years that they would be so lucky as the families of J.C. Dugard, who was found alive 18 years after she was abducted when she was 11 by Philip Garrido and his wife Nancy, or Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight, the trio that were found alive in a house in Cleveland in 2013, roughly a decade after each was kidnapped by Ariel Castro. Kate did tell the BBC in 2017, quote, there is still hope we can find Madeleine. They threw every resource they could scrape together to avoid having a long protracted missing person case like this. Jerry further said in the same interview, it's devastating, and we really threw ourselves into trying to do everything we could to help find her. It looks like that hasn't worked yet, but we are still looking forward. We still hope. Over the years, The search for Madeleine, it was a pursuit also assumed by countless supporters in McCann's native Britain. There is a friend who continues to run findmadeleine.com day to day. It's a job that now includes making efforts to shut down online trolls. And the Madeleine Fund continues as a nonprofit called Leaving No Stone Unturned, LTD. There was a documentary series released by Netflix in March of 2019. The McCann family did not support the production of the documentary, refusing to take part and encouraging others to not be involved. So were not very happy with the documentary at all. But that's the story of the disappearance of Madeleine McCann.
Well, thank you so much for that.
I think this is a fascinating case.
Yeah, it's just like she disappeared in thin air. And honestly, if there had been some sort of struggle or something, it seems like there would be evidence, but
you would think so as well. The fact that the twins, even though they were only 2 years old, slept through it.
Yeah.
Did he take her out the front door? Did he take her out the window? He or she, who once again, it's a he or she.
Was the idea that there was something happened to the kid and it's a cover up? That's also still possible.
Sure.
I don't think
absolutely.
so. I don't think so, but you can't rule it out either.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But the fact that the children were all checked on approximately every half hour, that means
and they could see the plays. I mean,
Yeah. That means the person very methodically got in and out with a child within a half hour without this child potentially struggling, screaming. It's such a weird case. And like I said, I've known about this one for years, and had it on my list to cover. I got re-interested in this case when I was reading the reports about Bruckner about to be released this year. I was like, yeah, you know what? It's time that I go ahead and cover this case, because I'll still be following this. It's a very strange and very interesting case. Like I said, and like you said, the fact that she really just disappeared in thin air with other children in the room, with the families 75 yards away, just it's wild. It's wild. But yeah, thanks for taking that journey with me.
Well, thank you, sir.
That will take us to the end of another recording week. With that, you can find more information about us on nerderymurdery.com. That's our hub. That's our website for everything we talk about here. You'll find links to the topics we talk about as well as pictures. And you'll also find the link to our YouTube page with our playlists on it and more information, which Zig so often updates.
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, on this one, you actually can see some modern video rental stores still open, as well as what an old video store looked like in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Awesome. Appreciate all the work you do on that. You'll also find the link to our merchandise page, where if you wish to show off your Nerdery Murdery fandom, please do consider purchasing something from there. That, along with our patrons, you'll find a link to our Patreon account on our page. That goes to the costs that are associated with the show that keep us on the air. We do appreciate each and every one of you for that.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. Last but not least, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review wherever you can. It's completely free and really helps us and helps others find our show that may be looking for the topics we discuss. So with that,
I have been Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdering.
Cue the music.
And mystery, stories blend with history, talking games and crime unsolved. The greatest minds have revolved. Geeking out on all the lore, mysteries that we explore. Heroes, villains, side by side. Nerdery takes us for a ride. Nerdery, the Murdery. Stories told so cleverly. Mysteries and fandoms mix every episode of Fix. Sci-fi, magic, comic books. Murder scenes and knowing looks, from the realms of fantasy to true crime insanity. Tales of tech and tales of fear, every week it's all right here. With a twist or with a fact, nerdy life we can't retract.